We are going to start at 6:30, however, because we did get complaints our last meeting from residents who were very, very offended because we made them wait. We will try not to make them wait this evening. So the caucus will come to order here at 6:30. And our first order of business is actually going to be a presentation from the brand new company that has just started this week. Actually, started this week? I think so.
Well, we've had a new, good afternoon, members
This
council.
is Steve Burns and Roger Pope.
Yeah.
And they are from Safe Built, and they're going to give us a little bit of an explanation of who they are and what they are going to do.
Okay, thank you. So thanks for having us here tonight. We just were invited to come and give a brief introduction about the company. So in early August, Safe Built acquired MBIS, which was your inspection agency for the building department and for property maintenance. We have been in Ohio. Safe Built Ohio started up a little over 2 years ago in Bay Village. We've been working in Bay Village, Olmsted Falls, Sheffield Lake, and Berea, Ohio for quite some time now. CVE was interested in splitting off the building piece from their engineering component, which is still, CVE engineering is still intact. And we are not assuming any engineering duties. But it was a stock sale. We purchased the entire building piece from them. All of the contracts stay in force, in place as they are. We're not changing anything. We have all local Ohio staff that work for us because of licenses, so there's no one coming from the corporate office from Colorado to do any meddling in the operation. I'm a regional operations manager. My name is Steve Burns. I run the Michigan and the Ohio operation to date. As we continue to grow in Ohio, there probably will be an in-state operations manager. But most important is we're here to work with the public, work with the municipality to make sure we have code compliance on the construction code to be in compliance with Ohio law, and then on the property maintenance code to enforce the property maintenance code based on what's in our contract and keeping the community to the standards that they've asked us to enforce. Roger Helt is our building official that's named for Maple Heights, as Rick LeConte did move on to go work for another municipality. So Roger's in here, and he's working out of the main office, which is in Bedford Heights, and he will stop in here daily and do his official CBO duties. If you have any questions about the company, it's been around since 1992. It was founded out in Colorado. The main office is in Loveland, Colorado. We are in around 11 states right now with close to 300 employees nationwide. We have a lot of building officials that work for us. It's a team behind a team. Roger has support from our HR staff at the main office. If he needs, sees a resource that's needed in a community, like another additional inspector or training for certain people, he can make recommendations to them and they will help support that. He has a whole host of building officials across the country that he can ask code questions of if he was to run into something that he hadn't seen before. Not that I think that would happen with all of his years of experience, but so we have a whole team approach. We all work together. We try to bring in some best practices from across the country of what we see is working in other operations, and we will be looking to do that here in Ohio on what we refer to as the east side. We have Bay Village is referred to as the west side. That's already been in operation, and we'll copy some of those things that are working over there in the MBIS operation as well. So the name will officially change to Safe Built at some point. I'm not 100% sure on when that changeover will take place, but things are in the works for getting the signs for the building ordered and signage for the vehicles and all that. That's all in process right now. So if you have any questions, or me or Roger, feel free to ask, and I'll answer them the best I can.
Go ahead, Toni.
How many other municipalities aside from Maple Heights is Roger been working with?
So right now it's just 3, and they're all sort of built up communities, and so the activity levels are kind of low, but he's making sure he spends the time required in each community to give them the attention that are building official duties. So we will continue that practice. If he sees activity increasing in any one community, then we would pull another inspector in to help back him up if the activity were to spike. So that's how we'll approach it.
Go
you
ahead.
planning on updating any of the software
that was
that's
my
currently in use?
So software is something that we currently are using.
Updating the software from MBIS, because it's not current.
We would like to update it. We are, still on the impact system. We also have a software program that we use that's a little more user-friendly. We would like to migrate over to that if possible, but we'll have to continue to work with the company that supports that software right now.
Right, because it's going to be hard to transfer any of that data into your system.
Would it be?
Would it be?
No.
So so that impact to be compatible with your system in order to
There would-
download, dump, or whatever?
They would have to do a migration to merge things over, but, we're in the process of evaluating their existing software right now. So we have to do a full evaluation to see if it's possible to implement new.
Right.
So currently, Impact is staying the same. It's still being supported by the company that has always supported it. It's never been supported by MBIS. It's been a third-party software
Right,
provider
and
for
it's not
that.
the software that's the issue itself, manager, I'm sorry. It's actually the updates that they're getting from the county auditor. I
Okay,
mean, that has not been updated.
Okay.
You have owners from 3 transfers ago.
okay.
That's what I mean.
So I'll have to look into that and see where the breakdown is. I'll have to ask.
And, just out of curiosity, are we still maintaining the personnel that we had for inspections?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the only person that's left that affects the Maple Heights operation was Rick. Everybody else is still the same.
And no additions at this point?
No, we would, we're currently recruiting because we feel that we need some more staff. We have some more municipalities that we're in talks with. So we would certainly be recruiting to see if we can add some more people, inspection staff to our team.
How would that affect our contract?
Nothing affects your contract. Your contract is in force as it was. Nothing has changed. Other than due to a resignation, I needed to insert a new CBO with proper certifications to make sure you had coverage.
But sufficient staff, how would that impact our contract? Our contract calls for, just pretend, 3 employees of yours, and we might need 5. How does that impact our contract? I mean, monetarily, just put it that way.
So if your contract, has requirements for X amount of staff persons, but you saw a need for more, is that the question? So if you requested to amend the contract for more services to be provided, we would come in and sit down with you and negotiate the contract, and we would add the resources at once it was agreed upon.
So reverse that, and what happens if you see that there's a need that we don't have filled? How does that work out?
We would bring it to your attention, we would make a recommendation, but ultimately it's up to you and your council to approve any additional addendums to the contract.
Interesting.
And we can't just amend the contract.
Go ahead, Alex.
We've been having problems with inspections. Some of them are 3 which you're aware of.
For rental inspection or property inspection?
Rental and construction and so forth. What is your goal on timeline for inspections?
So typically in most rental programs, you'd like to be around 2-week lag, but it depends on when you initially contracted with MBIS, what number of staff persons you wanted to have assigned to that task. So if you request 1 full-time employee handling property maintenance, then that's what's going to be assigned. If you request 1 full-time rental inspector / pre-sale inspection inspector, that's what's going to be assigned. If you feel that the activity is high enough to where you'd like to put more resources towards that, we would sit down and work with you to try to find a way to provide that for you. And we could do an addendum to the contract.
John?
Perhaps this is a subject for another evening, and we've got quite an agenda here to go over. Maybe we should schedule a special meeting with these,
Well, once they get their feet wet
After
and
their
see what the lay of the land
Yeah,
is too,
yeah,
I
we
think it
could-
might be easier to talk about, additions and subtractions.
I think the contract is up at the end of the year, so we probably want to sit down. Are you the person that we would be negotiating with?
I would be one of them.
All right, we probably, one of us are off, sort of like a card and gift card.
I do. Cards and
Yes, please. Well, thank you. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming in because we've been wondering
Thank you.
who would, when
bet.
we're going to see you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll arrange a meeting, we can sit down. and work
Sure.
on it, They have like 30 pieces of legislation here.
I have one thing.
I think it does at the end of the year.
Thank you.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if we get this out. I see it. Same part. Yeah, they fought the building. Come here, we sure.
Okay, Mr. Jackson has the invocation tonight, so we do have communications. No committee reports to talk about. Moving on to 215-36, this is the change in our charter, and it is on a third reading. So I hope you've all made a decision as far as passing or not. 2015-37, we're talking about all of our assessments, and this is also a third reading. Do we have problems with all of these assessments? Do I go through each of them again?
Just the garbage one with the information that was provided.
Okay, so we're on a third reading and we're going to be passing these tonight. I'll go to the rubbish here.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I think we spoke Monday about 3 that needs to be combined into 1. We have 3 separate ones here for boarding up of houses, 37, 38, and 40. Actually, they're just 1.
And
Instead of 3 separate ones, this is really just 1 that we got from the service department.
except that we have all of these on a third reading, and it would seem to me that we're going to have to pass them like that tonight.
Okay, we can, but there'll be nothing submitted under those is all.
No, I understand that. That would be your end.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. And the demolition, 40, okay. And then high grass is separate. And 42 is the rubbish collection, and you did send out an additional sheet for us. Everyone able to run through that sheet?
Was that email there?
Yes, it was. Your email.
I don't have a copy of that.
Irene, could you explain that very quickly? No?
Need a copy of the email?
He did.
Please.
He did.
Thanks.
Last year, when we were going through the garbage assessment, there was quite a few concerns about the calculations and charging more than what we should charge and so on and so forth. So I did an actual calculation that I provided to the committee on Monday. And during that discussion, there was discussion about the $7.50 to $15 being charged instead of the actual calculation.
Thank you.
So last evening, I sent out the email with both of the scenarios, with the actual calculation and also with the $15 calculation. And I asked if you had any questions or concerns, to let me know before the close of the day, in case I needed to do some work in office. So that's pretty much it. Now, the legislation says 15 to 750. It needs to be congruent with whatever we send in. So either we're sending in the 15, 750, or revising the legislation for the actual. And we projected that based on the outcry from last year, that we should reduce it since there was no recycling.
A question for you, Irene. What difference would it make to your auditing and your books if we just left it what it is, the way it is? Viewing that perhaps next year, when the contract is up, we may or may not go to a different company where we could possibly renew the recycling, which would probably be a higher cost. Can you bank that extra money?
Well, actually, it is banked. I mean, we don't spend it for anything but garbage.
Correct.
I mean, that's what the legislation is. The ordinance says that it only be used to pay the rubbish bills. We don't pay anything else out of there. But what needs to be done is that there should be some overhead that's charged to that. We have not sat down with service to calculate what it charges for the dumpsters that they dump, that our folk are doing. That's the missing variable, and that's why we do need a cushion, because there's staff time involved. It's just a matter of doing a time study or something of that nature to see how much staff could be charged, or what these extra charges may be when the city pays for dumping and using their staff, you know, for whatever, like on the weekends and different things like that.
Picking up and.
Right. But the initial calculation was just to cover just the cost of the rubbish. It did not take into consideration. And for that reason, we do need a cushion for that.
Okay, council, what is, you've looked at some of the figures. What is your opinion here? Leave it, amend it? It is on third reading, so we have to do something. These are due September.
It's due before the next council,
14th.
the 14th.
I would suggest amending it to the new numbers that were given to us. The 1179 and 590.
Yes, that's what we discussed as an option.
Alex?
I suggest leaving it like it is, because like Irene said, there is cost involved with the dumpsters, service department picking up, which I know I use quite a bit in my district, calling the service department, pick up couches, move outs, when people move out and going, and service department comes over, and the dumping fees. So that is all, that should be included, because it is a cost to the city that residents with the garbage is costing us, and we shouldn't have to take the money out of the general fund. It should be selfish.
Right, I agree. You just heard my opinion.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead, Toni.
To Irene, Waste Management charges us $11.79 for each home, regardless of the fact that it is a senior residing in that home or not. The discount that Maple Heights gives to that senior to alleviate the burden of paying for garbage, basically the other half of that $5.90 or whatever is actually absorbed by the rest of the population, if you will, to make up that cost. Am I right?
Well, you're correct. It has to be subsidized.
Right, exactly. So if we bill at the lower amount, we would actually be losing money to compensate for the homestead exemption. And on top of that, whatever service does, because I know how many times I call them when Waste Management's not there, and it's either a couch or a chair, or most of the time it's tires, that, you know, we don't do that for free. And oftentimes you can't build a vacant house, especially if it's an abandoned property and there's no one to bill. So I think that by leaving it and waiting until next year and doing a reassessment is probably a better way to handle this.
Any other comments from council? Okay.
Madam Chair,
Okay. Yes?
in an email from the finance director last year, the annual cost of trash removal without recycling was $1.24 million. And the amount projected to be raised through the lower amount of garbage assessment is $20,000 over that amount, including also the amount that fund already has in it, a few $100,000. There should be plenty of money to cover any costs.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
I think
Go
one of
ahead.
the things that I presented on Monday is that these payments are retroactive, so we need a startup amount to cover at least 6 months. We get payments from the county for these assessments like April and October. So therefore, before that period, if we do not have some money there,
Take it out.
then the city general fund will have to be, the fund will be running a deficit until that money came in. And that was part of the problem in terms of the fund running a deficit. I think when I came, you know, with about $400,000 behind because money had not been set aside to cover the advance. I mean, it eventually catches up, but in the meantime, does the city have $100,000 a month to front for 6 months? You know, so you do need a $500,000 or $600,000. The money's not going anywhere, it's just there to cover the expenses. We're not using that money for other expenses. As you know, it's in a fund of its own. And then, as we said, the calculation I explained is that there's a fallacy in the calculation in that it's a break even. And that's what I went through with that $11 that I calculated, because there's a very prescribed calculation in the ordinance that says, you know, to do this times that plus this or that. You do that, then that means you break even. And to me, that's not realistic because we do need that money up front to carry.
It's not.
So we should always have at least a $500,000 balance to cover. And then eventually it gets, like right now, it's at $42,000. Right now it's at $42,000. But we will get a payment in the end of this month and it'll go back up. But in the meantime, if we did not have that cushion at the beginning of the year, it'll be running a deficit.
Right.
But right now it's like about $42,000 in the fund.
Okay. I think that makes the best sense at this point in time. Thank you. Ordinance 215-47, is this one ready to go? Actually, this, I thought it was amended. We had one line that was amended in this one. Is that correct, Toni?
I'm looking for my pink sheet. I just had my pink sheet and I lost my pink sheet. Hang on. Isn't it amended? It should be. It's amended first regarding the escrow.
Okay.
We have that. in
So can
here.
we move this along?
Yes, Irene, basically we had emails back and forth and the city is actually not in the position, nor should they be, to handle the escrow for the money for
I agree
the
with
lot
that.
consolidation. So it is going to be at a state-approved escrow agent or title company.
Okay, so
So
we,
that's the only change, because that was the question that came up at the
right, and
last meeting.
that is outlined for, and I hope you all read that.
I think it's highlighted.
To suspend the rules, right. 2015-55, this was what our police chief mentioned the other night, and you would like to see this passed tonight?
Sure.
Absolutely. Any objections, questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Jackson?
I would still like to see a couple of words edited to that agreement, that contract, stating what those different costs, hourly costs are for. Seeing that the word auxiliary police is not listed in there, and I think legally that it should be so that everybody knows exactly what that is.
To the chair. Checking the patrolman rates, the $35 would still cover their basic pay rate for a basic patrol officer as well. I looked into it after we went off from the meeting yesterday. And they make right now, a basic patrolman makes about $28 an hour. So, and patrolman first class. So $35 would cover, even if we had to keep a regular police officer for a period of time, the $35 would cover what we're asking for.
And this is only temporary anyway.
Well, it's up, we're watching for up to 2 hours until this is they're free, and then after that they're paying.
I think you want to hold it up.
No, I didn't say hold it up. I'm just saying, I just think that
No, because we only have one
words
at a time, so we would get an auxiliary police officer, and that was what we were talking about the last meeting.
So we hold it up for that, but I just think those words should be added.
Oh, I thought
Just
your
clear.
comments were good. Unfortunately, it's such a temporary thing. Okay, 2015-56 was the mechanics contract. And we're good with that one as well? Pass this along?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
for 56 and 57, who's going to get some figures for what their cost savings
Yes.
was?
Yes, John, could you take care of that?
I mean, there's no exact science here. Again, there's so many variables, I can't really guess, you know, how much we'll save. I mean, we have one mechanic who need about 2 holidays. You know, I think, you know, it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's probably more like tens of thousands of dollars, if anything. Since we only have 5 employees in the service department, one mechanic, which includes one mechanic, I believe, so. But the goal is that this would be a long-term savings because any new hires or people who retire, people who change to make it more economical for the city, basically. Similar to the other contracts.
Would that hold up your vote?
Well, no, it's not gonna hold again, but one of my issues is somebody reads this and say, oh, a cost savings, how much did you save? What would my answer be to them? Or,
I mean, for one person, it's probably $5,000, I would say.
Well, it's basically, and I'm not a negotiator, but it's the concessions that they gave up, plus converting the contract is going to affect any future hires, which is going to be a cost savings to the city.
I'm not arguing that.
No, but I mean, you're asking what you should tell people.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's
yeah.
what I would tell citizens.
Okay, and they would say, how much? So what would you tell them? I mean, now, this with anything along those lines, you say it's a savings or an increase or anything, somebody's going to ask you how
I would say I'll
much?
get back to you and find out from either Tanya or from the finance department.
He just tried to do that.
Well, if there wasn't enough time for them to, yeah, I don't know.
Not only that, we've lost people, we're trying to hire people, so I don't know if we can do that immediately, but that would be a good question to keep in mind, absolutely. And is that something that you can go back and track a little bit? Not now, not this moment.
No, I mean, I could, I wasn't aware, I mean, to be honest, I just found out about the contract, so.
We just got
Right.
It's part of the negotiations.
Right. This was hurry up and move on it because it has been in the camp for quite a while. All right, but that's something that we can ask Irene to double check on and/or John.
So I mean, if I asked the labor attorney, it'd probably cost more than whatever we said.
Well, definitely not.
And not to argue the point, but if I negotiate something down, if my outlay out of, if I was a worker was $2 for health and welfare per hour, and now I gotta pay $2.50 per hour. To me, it seems like a pretty straightforward calculation to say that 50 cents an hour for every hour worked is being saved.
That would be easy, but they also gave up holidays, they gave up birthdays, they gave up allowances for people, uniforms.
And my hourly
To the
rate for
chair.
8 hours of holiday or 8 hours for my birthday,
We have that. I mean, we have the pay of every employee.
that's what I'm asking.
But if we already have it and we're asking for it, we just need to look for it when we received it, dig it up out of the file.
Okay, this should be included in the legislation.
Yeah, I think that's very.
Irene, go ahead.
To the chair, yes, we can do the calculations. I had mentioned, I was not privy. I haven't seen the contract as of yet.
Okay.
So when I see it, yes, you can do calculations. I mean, when I go through to see what the provisions are.
Okay, that would be really helpful to
Yeah,
send
it's
it
no
out.
problem. I just,
Lena?
All this other stuff.
Okay, all right. 2015-58 is the resolution which was composed by Mr. Trojansky, and I believe we are all co-sponsoring that. And the Patriot Day, Richard, is that is coming up as well?
Yeah.
Okay, and 2015-60 is the tax levies certification. And that is something that we do every year. It's pretty much housekeeping. So that definitely should be passed tonight. Turn to your expenditures over $1,000, please. We have a lot of repairs. Any questions for either the chief or Irene or Any other announcements or anything we should all be aware of tonight? We're good? Okay. Caucus finished at 7 o'clock.